The calm before the judgment. There comes a time in every believer's life when the Spirit whispers something so sobering it silences the noise of the world around them. It isn't a warning about danger. It isn't a prophecy about prosperity. It's a declaration from heaven itself. I am using you not for harm, not for spectacle, but for judgment, for divine closure, for a holy end to a long demonic cycle. Some of you reading this have been the target of narcissists, family members, coworkers, ex-partners, people who use their words as swords and their silence as weapons. They mocked your faith, belittled your calling, and manipulated everyone around you to doubt your light. But God never doubted you, haven't never abandoned you. And now God is positioning you not just for victory, but as a final warning to those who refuse to repent. This message is not for everyone. It is not for the complacent or the curious. It is for the chosen, the misunderstood, the spiritual warriors in quiet armor. If you've ever felt like you are being watched by the very people who once rejected you, if you've ever felt like your life has become a spotlight and a sword, if you've ever wondered why God kept you silent for years only to suddenly give you visibility, then this message is for you, because God is not just blessing you, He is using you to settle a spiritual debt. Let us walk through the revelation together, piece by piece, battle by battle, until you see clearly that you are not just the survivor of narcissistic abuse, you are the verdict one, you are their final warning. There is a rare and weighty calling that God places on certain lives, those chosen not simply to shine in the light of His favor, but to stand as divine markers at the end of someone else's grace. If you have endured deep betrayal at the hands of someone narcissistic, controlling, or spiritually oppressive, it may feel like he was simply the unfortunate target of their brokenness. But the truth is far more sacred. Heavens saw everything, every lie they spun, every moment they gaslit you, every smear they spread, and now God has drawn a line in the sand, and He is using your life to say no more. You are not just someone who survived injustice, you are the living evidence that God is not mocked. When a narcissist refuses to heed correction, ignores conviction, and manipulates every lifeline sent by heaven, God's patience eventually yields to His holiness. That is where you come in, not as the aggressor, not as the one seeking revenge, but as the vessel of final clarity, the unmovable presence that stands in silent truth. Your very existence now bears witness to what they refuse to see. Your peace exposes their unrest, your growth shatters their excuses, and your resilience bursts from seasons of suffering now fun options as a divine confrontation. This is not about public humiliation, nor is it about earthly vindication alone. It is about spiritual consequence. You are being used not just to mark the end of their access to your life, but to signal the end of God's permission to toy with His mercy. You are the last invitation they will ever receive to repent. And though they may never say it aloud, they know it. That's why they watch you in silence. That's why their attempt to slander you have grown more desperate. That's why they mock what they cannot imitate, because in their spirit they sense the holy weight of your calling. The narcissist control is slipping, and they feel that you've been elevated beyond their reach, not just in success or visibility, but in spiritual authority. The tables have turned, not because you retaliated, but because you obeyed, you stayed the course, you suffered well. And now God is honoring you by making your life a clear and undeniable message that divine justice may be slow, But it is sure when God uses someone as a warning, it is not always with fire and thunder. Sometimes he does it through a quiet life, well lived, through dignity, through silence, through join that cannot be shaken. And that is exactly what you are walking in now. Your peace is disruptive, your presence is a threat, because where you used to engage in battles with your words, now you let the Spirit speak through your walk. That shift is not weakness, it is warfare. It is strategy, and it is the final tool God will use to expose and dismantle everything false that tried to define you. So, if you have wondered why your elevation feels strangely confrontational, or why your peace has provoked old enemies into new obsessions, know this: it's not about you, it's about what God is doing through you. You are no longer just a person in their story. You are the final chapter they never expected. You are the part of the book where everything they sowed begins to return and the harvest is unavoidable. You are not only walking in restoration, you are walking as prophecy fulfilled. And no force on earth or in hell can stop what heaven has decreed. You are not seeking revenge. You are carrying out divine assignment. You are not bitter, you are set apart. And above all, you are their final warning to you, are in your golden era. There was a kind of season that only those who have been through the wilderness can truly recognize, a sacred moment when the soul no longer strives to prove its worth, but rests in the quiet confidence that God Himself has established it. This is not a fleeting high or an emotional lift. It is not rude it in circumstance or popularity. It is a season birthed to from pain, matured in silence and crowned by divine appointment, and you, dear one, have entered it. You are not just having a better season, you are standing in your golden era. But it didn't come quickly, and it didn't come cheap. You paid for this season with tears few ever saw and prayers few ever heard. You walked through nights where heaven seemed silent and the devil seemed loud. You endured ridicule, rejection, and spiritual loneliness so deep that even breathing felt like an act of faith. But still you kept walking. You clung to God when there were no signs, no affirmations, no proof that your obedience would ever yield for. And now the reward is not just coming, it has begun. What makes this era golden is not the wealth, the open doors, or the recognition, though all of that may be present. No, what makes it golden is the way your spirit has changed. The things that used to rattle you no longer move you. The approval you once chased now seems unnecessary. The battles that once consumed you no longer call your name. You have found rest not just around you, but within you. This is the kind of wealth that cannot be counted in dollars or measured in titles. It is the wealth of spiritual peace, identity, and holy or 30 people may see the glow on you now and assume it came easily. They notice your joy, your confidence, your presence, and they think you must have always been this strong, but they didn't see the years you spend weeping in private. They didn't witness the bitter rails that almost broke you, the family members who misunderstood you, the friends who walked away when your calling became inconvenient. What they're seeing now is resurrection. What they're admiring is the afterglow, have a life restored by God Himself. This golden era is not about ego. It is not about getting even or proving anyone wrong. It's about walking fully in the identity that hell tried to bury. It's about owning your anointed without apology. It's about stepping into rooms with your head held high, not because of pride, but because shame has finally been evicted. You are no longer hiding your light to make others comfortable. You are no longer downplaying your progress to protect the feelings of those who refuse to grow. God is saying to you now, shine, speak, build, live, and do it without guilt. Your joy in this season is contagious because it is pure. You're waking up looking forward to the simple things again. The small moments that once felt meaningless have now become sacred. You find joy in the sunrise, gratitude, and your morning coffee. Anticipation when you check your mailbox, not because of what's inside, but because you know who is guiding your every step. You're no longer rushing to arrive, you are finally present. And that presence is an act of worship. But let this be clear, this golden era is not just for you, it is also, oh, a sign to those who once doubted, mocked, or dismissed you. It is God's way of placing a lamp on a hill and saying, "This is what I do with those who remain faithful. This is what I do with those who trust me through the fire." Your life is becoming a testimony that God rewards those who wait, and in so your presence begins to provoke those who are still trying to manipulate, control, and deceive. The narcissist sees your joy and feels exposed. They see your glow and realize their grip has broken. And while they spiral, you rise not with vengeance, but with grace. This is your season to walk boldly, to testify loudly, and to love freely, not because you are seeking attention, but because you are finally free. You are free from the cycles that used to imprison you, free from the expectations that used to define you, free from the fear that used to paralyze you. And in that freedom, you radiate something far more valuable than gold. You radiate glory. So do not apologize for your growth. Do not water down your joy. Do not shrink your testimony to soothe the insecurities of those who refuse to heal. You are not arrogant. You are appointed. You are not too much. You are finally walking in just enough strength, just enough clarity, just enough fire to carry everything God has given you. This is not the beginning of your golden era. You are already in it. Now walk like it. So, if this word resonates with your spirit, if you know deep within that you are walking in a season that was birthed through fire and anointed by heaven, declare it boldly today. Comment below with the words, "I am in my golden era, and it is God who brought me here." Let every demon, every doubter, and every shadow from your past hear your praise. This season is yours, and you will not walk through it in silence. 3. The narcissist is spiraling. There is a silence that speaks louder than words, and the narcissist can hear it. It echoes in the spaces they once occupied, in the conversations they no longer control, and in the access they can no longer demand. They feel it every time your name is mentioned, in admiration, not accusation. They sense it when they inquire about you, and the only answer they receive is, "They're doing better than ever." And though they might never say it aloud, the truth is undeniable. They are spiraling. And it is not because you did something wrong, it is because you finally started doing everything right. Narcissists slim. If off of control, they feed on the illusion of dominance, relational, emotional, and spiritual. But when that illusion is shattered, they lose not just power, but identity. And that's what's happening now. For years, they shaped the narrative. They were the loudest voice in the room, the false victim in the eyes of others, the master manipulator of perception. But now the one they thought they had buried, you has risen, and risen in a way they never anticipated. You are no longer defensive, you are no longer reactive. You have become something far more dangerous to their schemes. Completely bothered, you've stopped explaining yourself. You no longer try to clear up their lies. You've let go of the need to be understood by people who were never listening in the first place. And in doing so, you've disarmed their entire strategy. They don't know how to attack someone who refuses to play the game. They don't know how to dismantle the structure built on truth. And while you've been busy healing, building, and growing, they've been unraveling in the shadows, desperate for relevance, hungry for attention, and terrified of becoming obsolete. What they don't understand is that your silence is not weakness, it's warfare. Your refusal to engage is not passivity, it's prophetic. You've reached a spiritual elevation where arguments no longer serve you and gossip no longer wounds you. You've been delivered from the emotional economy they once ruled, and now their tactics fall flat. You are not ignoring them, you are transcending sending them. And that to someone whose identity is built on domination is unbearable. Their behavior has grown erratic. They are grasping at straws, interrogating mutual connections, crafting false narratives, and even presenting a facade of success just to keep up appearances. They may be posting more, smiling wider, or boasting louder, but beneath the surface is a person gasping for control. They no longer possess. Every move they make now is rooted in panic. And yet, the most powerful blow to their ego has nothing to do with what you've said or done. It's what you've become. You've become untouchable, not in pride, but in peace. The emotional triggers they once used to provoke you have been deactivated by God's healing. The insecurities they used to exploit have been fortified by truth. They cannot guilt trip a heart that has been justified by grace. They cannot shame someone who's been clothed in righteousness. You've entered into a level of wholeness that exposes every fragment of their character. And though they were a mosque in public and private, they are crumbling. The narcissist is not just losing access to you, they are losing their grip on the false reality they built around you. And as they tried to spy into your life, the fog of confusion that once blinded others is lifting. People are beginning to see clearly, conversations are shifting, reputations are changing, and while they attempt to manipulate the narrative one more time, they are being outpaced by the truth. Your fruit is speaking for you now, your peace is testifying, your insurance is preaching louder than any accusation they could ever press. It is important to understand that this spiral is not simply psychological, it is spiritual. You are watching a principality lose its footing. The demonic manipulation, though once operated freely through this person, is now being confronted by the holiness of your boundaries. You have invited God into your relationships. You have placed angels on the borders of your peace. You are no longer flinching at spiritual attacks because you've learned to fight in prayer and worship and in wisdom. You don't need revenge. Heaven is already responding, so do not be surprised if their behavior grows more desperate. Do not be shocked by the smear campaigns, the lies, all the sudden coincidental reappearance. This is what happens when light exposes darkness. It thrashes, it panics, it screams. But he cannot remain. And though the narcissist may still be trying to reassert control, the truth is simple and absolute. Their reign over your story is on. The final blow to their control is not your retaliation, it is your transformation. The version of you they once manipulated no longer Gore exists, and no matter how hard they try, they will never gain access to the new you. They had their chance to honor you, to reconcile, to repent, but they chose deception, and now they are left with a haunting reality. They lost the one person they could never replace, for you were chosen to stand up for truth. There are moments in life when the weight of your calling becomes undeniable, not because you sought power or platform, but because no one else around you is willing to carry the truth. In families, in workplaces, in churches, even there is often a silent agreement. Don't rock the boat. Don't speak the truth, keep the peace, even if it's built on lies. And while others cower behind diplomacy and fear you, child of God, what chosen to stand you? Didn't volunteer for this rollout out of pride. You didn't force your voice into rooms where it wasn't welcome. But God placed something inside of you, a sense of justice, of spiritual discernment, of holy intolerance for deception. That makes it impossible for you to pretend that evil is harmless. You are not called to be passive. You are not cool to blend in. You were anointed to disrupt the silence of oppression with the sound of truth. Even if your voice trembles, when you speak, there is someone close to you, maybe a sibling, a parent, a friend, who is entangled with the narcissist, and no matter how many times you've tried to guide them toward freedom, they remain stuck, whether it fear, trauma, guilt, or dependency. They simply cannot or will not stand up for themselves. But their inaction has not gone unnoticed by God, nor has your unwavering courage. While they tremble, you rise, and while they fold under pressure, you hold the line. Your role is not just personal, it is spiritual. The battle is bigger than you and deeper than surface level conflict. You are not just dealing with a difficult personality, you are confronting a generational stronghold, a manipulative spirit that has gone unchecked for far too long. And the reason you face so much resistance is because hell recognizes what heaven assigned you to do. You are the interruption in the pattern, the one who says this ends here, the one who prays when others sleep, the one who fasts when others feast, the one who wages war in the spirit, so that others may live in peace. Grow weary in this assignment. It may feel lonely. It may feel like you're the only one who sees clearly. But understand this, the clarity God gave you was not for your comfort, it was for your commission. He revealed the truth to you because he trusted you to carry it with wisdom, not bitterness, with courage, not chaos. And in a time when manipulation is masquerading as love, your very presence is exposing the counterfeit. You are not called to argue with the narcissist, you are called to be a mirror, living reflection of what they refuse to acknowledge. You don't have to prove your point or justify your position. The fruit of your life, your peace, your resilience, and your boundaries will preach louder than any debate ever could when you show up clothed in dignity and walking in spiritual authority. You strip every demon of the power they once held over your environment. And yes, this makes you a target. The narcissist cannot control you, so they try to discredit you. They cannot silence you, so they smear you. But through it all, you remain unmoved because your strength is not your own. It is anchored in the God who sees, the God who defends, and the God who will not allow. Wow, darkness too, when where you have stood for light, this calling will cost you. It may cost you relationships, it may cost you comfort, it may even cost you moments of peace. But what you are gaining in return is something far more eternal: alignment with heaven, a legacy of righteousness, and the knowledge that because you stood, others will one day have the strength to stand. To you are not confrontational. By nature, you're consecrated by calling, and even if no one else says it, even if the ones you protect never thank you, heaven sees you. The Lord Himself has written your name in His book of remembrance, not for being loud, but for being loyal to truth, not for seeking justice through revenge, but for surrendering to divine justice through obedience. So stand, even if you stand alone. Speak, even if your voice shakes. Love, even when it's costly. And above all, do not allow fear to steal your authority. You are not placed here by accident. You were not born into your family by mistake. You are not drawn into this battle by coincidence. You were chosen for such a time as this. 5. divine justice is about to fall, justice is not always loud. It does not always come with thunder or fire from heaven. Sometimes it comes silently, like the slow turning of a tide, the shifting of atmosphere, the quiet movement of a king who does not need to announce himself before he acts. But make no mistake about this moment, divine justice is approaching, and it is not delayed, it is precise, it is intentional, and it is final. God has seen every manipulation, every lie, every false accusation the narcissist has crafted and weaponized against you. He has witnessed how they twisted truth, disfigured love, and used influence to isolate and degrade. For a time, it may have seemed as though heaven was silent, as if